From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes, brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene, which these days is dominated by the purple. Or should I say that team that wears the Winter Warrior white look that they rocked Lord. On Monday night, ABC. The entire NFL universe got to see the Vikings in their whiteout mode. Oh, you bought a white jersey, didn't you?
I did not. I did not.
So those rumors are not true?
No. Okay. Let me say this to start off with. I get it, the whiteout, kind of the Penn State, Happy Valley
like
type of thing. Yeah, they did. Here's the one that I don't get. I get the jersey thing because they're sheep. I mean, they're fans. Go out and buy jerseys, right? What's with the white helmets, though? First of all, you couldn't even see the logo. You couldn't even see the little horn. Why didn't they make those purple if they're going to do it? Or just wear your purple helmets. I didn't get that at all. Nobody's going out and buying a helmet. You don't have to wear different helmets every week. This isn't Oregon. There's no reason. There's no reason for it.
It might become Oregon someday. Well, if you live in a zip code by Lake Minnetonka or North Oaks, maybe you can afford to buy a Vikings helmet that's all white and put it in your man cave. But
have like a helmet lamp or something like the Christmas Story.
The NFL, everybody's got to have 3, 4, 5 different looks now. We see it in all sports, really. The Oregon Ducks have patented it. I mean, we talked to Johnny Munt a couple of weeks ago, the Vikings tight end, who played at Oregon. And I said, how many jerseys did you wear for the Ducks? And he says, I don't know, but he says he has 33 at home. Different Oregon Ducks jerseys.
I asked
twisted.
I asked him, I said, do you play that many games? I'm not sure he did play that many games.
I don't know if he has. That's amazing.
I'm fine. It was fine. It was kind of fun to see all the white jerseys that everybody was wearing in the stands, and then they got your favorite thing going. They dropped the
fake flakes. Yeah.
The fake flakes, the snowflakes made out of soap. They dropped those down. And then I looked down and I said, well, which team is which down there? It's just a big blur. They're all white. The Vikings were, but the helmets were white. I couldn't even see the logo on it. It was so faint. Stop it. I'm well over all of this. By the way, the Packers were wearing white helmets the night before, and I was mad at that. Again. And then earlier on Sunday, the Browns were wearing white helmets. I'm done. Stop it.
You can always go the route of the Seattle Seahawks and just look like a gigantic lime highlighter.
Yeah, I mean, they look like you're right.
Or against the Packers. And, of course, the Timberwolves have perfected that look on occasion. What do they have? City Connect now. They have the regular jerseys, and then they have that glow-in-the-dark stuff they trot out once in a while. I can't keep up with it, but it's all about trying to sell stuff to fans.
Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to this. They sell jerseys. I understand that. Who the hell is buying helmets?
Well, you need to dig into that and find out. Did they move any?
Yeah. Did they sell any helmets? And who's selling them?
Maybe they're selling them the miniature version.
Okay, Rydell. That who makes the helmets?
I used to get those at the Super Bowl every year.
I used to get them at
the Super Bowl logo back when they had a different Super Bowl logo.
I used to get them at the supermarket. Remember those the machines you get the little helmets
in? Little ones.
Oh yeah, I collected those. That was fun. All right.
It really doesn't matter what color the Vikings are wearing these days, white, purple, or shades in between, because they're winning 7 in a row, 12-2, along with Detroit and Philadelphia, top record in the NFC. There's not much to dislike about this team right now. They're rolling. Obviously, extremely well coached by Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, the staff. They're solid on special teams. Very good on defense. The offense, has had a few hiccups this year, but basically is outstanding. And Sam Darnold, he's in the MVP conversation. I don't know if he wins it, but he's in the conversation. I'd like to see Saquon Barkley win it, just to have a running back get the trophy for once.
Wow, Mr. Philadelphia Eagle here.
Well, no, I'm tired of quarterbacks getting all the love.
I know you are. Well, okay, so
it'll be Josh Allen.
So I'm going to go back to this that we talked about a week ago. If Sam Darnold wins MVP, do you not have to at least approach the idea of trying to keep this guy? I mean, maybe you trade McCarthy. I'm serious.
For me, it's not about winning MVP. That's great. It's about what he does in the postseason. Of course, he's going to need help from his teammates.
No, I understand
Can you go
that.
on a playoff run?
I understand that. And my point is, as good as he has been this year, and if he leads them on even a miniature playoff run of a game or two, I don't know how you can say goodbye to him and just usher in a rookie that has never taken a snap in a regular season game.
I think you're right. And I think this is where Kwesi and the capologists upstairs, the bean counters, right, who have to crunch the numbers. And they're probably already working on it. They probably have 3 or 4 different scenarios. Okay, if we win the Super Bowl, what do we do?
Right.
We give him the keys to Fort Knox. That's a no-brainer. You win a Super Bowl here, you just give him whatever he deserves.
Yeah, true.
You get to the Super Bowl, then what do you give him? You get to the playoffs, win a game or two, then what do you do? If you go to the playoffs and you're one and done, then it's probably a different package you present. But I think you get creative. Bonuses don't count against the cap, so you can give him a huge bonus that he can stuff in the bank right away. Don't have to give it back. And you try to work out a deal that's friendly to the team, to the cap, but also to Sam Darnold. And I would just say to Sam Darnold, do you really want to leave Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Rodgers? You're getting a lot of love here in Minnesota. That wasn't the case with the Jets, the Panthers, and they didn't really know you existed in San Francisco because you backed up Brock Purdy.
He was doing this. He was holding a clipboard.
The 49ers might wish they had him back.
Yeah. Brock Purdy hasn't been very good even when he's not been hurt. He hasn't been very good this year. Yeah. No, I'd say they're going to have to figure out a way if they use the franchise tag. I heard that they might have to take a $40 million cap hit if they use the franchise tag on him. I guess that's possible. I don't understand exactly how they figure out the mechanics of that, but I'd say whatever it takes, as long as he keeps playing like he is.
Get creative. Yeah, can they do a deal like the LA Dodgers did with Shohei Ohtani? Can they defer a bunch of
Defer it by 20 years?
Push it 3 decades forward?
Oh, my goodness. Well, they could pay
Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, Bobby Bo. He's still getting paid every 4th of July.
And now they got to pay Juan Soto, those New York Mets.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe you don't want to play for the Mets in about 10 years. They're still paying guys that'll be retired out of baseball. All right, we should probably take a break. We're going to talk some more NFL, though, with a former Pro Bowl and top 50 Viking of all time.
Yeah, Carl Lee will join us here on 10K Takes Your Purple Ticket.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect. Maya? Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
In Lakeville, Minnesota, dozens of meeting venues are ready to host your next corporate event, banquet, and holiday party. Lakeville has unique conference facilities, a variety of hotels, an abundance of team-building options, and dining that are sure to impress. For suggestions that suit your needs, please call the Lakeville Convention and Visitors Bureau at 952-469-2020 or go to visitlakeville.org. Lakeville, we mean business.
And we roll along here on 10,000 Takes, and as promised, we're going to talk some more Minnesota Vikings football. We usually have the offensive side of the ball. We're going to shift to defense for this week's show. And joining us now, one of the best defenders in Vikings history, one of the top 50 players of all time in Vikings history, number 39, Carl Lee. Carl, let's start out with the Minnesota Vikings defense. It was kind of a question mark coming into the season because they had so many moving pieces, so many guys that they got out of free agency. But with our discussion, Eric and I talked to Jonathan Grenard, who came in from Houston, and I asked him about the fact that you've got, 5, 6 free agents basically in the starting lineup who have been major contributors. How difficult is that? And he said, defense is defense. What are your thoughts on how difficult it is to have guys from, 6 different directions coming into a new system?
Well, I really don't think that that's a challenge. I think if you have a certain position that you need to fill to be good, you need a pass rusher and you get a pass rusher from somewhere. Pass rushing is pass rushing. You need a corner, and if you get a corner that can play man to man, can tackle, can play zone, then it just adds to the defense. And I think what the Vikings have done has been really spot on because they really filled positions that they needed, and I think the defense is solid now.
Carl, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of guys. Josh Metellus, they can play him at safety. They can bring him up and give him a linebacker look. He blitzes once in a while. And then Harrison Smith at safety, he might be on his way to the Hall of Fame someday, continues to play outstanding football. I'm sure you like what you see out of both of those guys.
Well, when you start talking about a guy that plays multiple positions, it goes back to Joey Brown, and I mean, it was that he's that kind of guy. Joey Browner was a guy that could play any position, whether it be safety, whether it be linebacker. And basically, we played him pretty much as a linebacker more so than really a safety. We kind of just went with him basically right up in the line. When you start talking about a guy that can, you get you a safety that can get you in the right positions, make all the right checks, and you have guys that can play defense. You have the front, you have the backers. I mean, man, that's perfect defense.
How difficult is it for a D-back to stay with a guy like Justin Jefferson? I mean, you're seeing all kinds of bracket coverages and double teams and triple teams and all kinds of stuff. How difficult is it to guard a guy like that?
I think it's a challenge. Even if you play him, if you double cover him, whether you have a safety over the top of him, I don't know. I just feel like now in this era of passing the ball, and as good as the quarterbacks are at throwing it, man, I think it's just really difficult to be able to stop a guy like that. I don't think that you can really stop him. I think the best that you can do is maybe keep his numbers down, but you're not going to stop him. You're not going to stop him from catching balls. You're not going to stop him from getting touchdowns. It's just not possible in today's game with the way they throw the ball.
Carl, at the game Monday night in Minneapolis, and the Minnesota Vikings did a great job of paying tribute to Randy Moss, who's now a cancer survivor. Chris Carter was there, Jake Reed, part of that 3-deep group they had that came in, right about after your career was over. But he went to Marshall, you went to Marshall. What are they saying about Randy in West Virginia right now? Because I know he's an iconic figure in the state you live in.
I actually tried to reach out to him today, I actually think he's actually changed his number, probably because he's been getting so much information, so much contact from people. Here in West Virginia, man, I think he makes the state really when it comes to football. When you start thinking about football and you start thinking about who's the greatest player that comes out of your state, I mean, he's the first and the only guy that really is even in that conversation. And I think there's been a lot of people have talked a lot about him. Actually, I have a podcast, and we're probably going to talk about him tomorrow because I think, I just think that he's just a special athlete, and he's been through a lot, in his life. And I think some of that has defined who he became and how, he wasn't always overly personable, but I think that was because of the challenges that he had here as a young man.
Yeah. As a player, compare his style and what he brought to the table for the Vikings to what Justin Jefferson brings right now to Minnesota, bringing Jefferson back into that conversation. Because if you watch the game on Monday night, you saw Jefferson give him a little salute after he scored that touchdown, and well wishes. I like just a great connection from the current back to the past of great Viking receivers. But compare their abilities on the field for me.
I think it's kind of hard to kind of compare anybody to Randy because no one's as tall. I don't know if there's really been that kind of receiver that's been that tall to be that fast, have that vertical, have those types of hands and be able to run routes like somebody else. I think Randy's in a class by himself because of all of those things. I'll make the case too. When you start talking about Jefferson, what you're talking about is you're talking about a guy that's just almost, you can't play zone on him, you can't play man to man. He's just so durable and can catch any and can run any route and catch any ball. And I think that's what makes him so special.
In West Virginia sports history, is Randy Moss right up there with the logo, Jerry West, and we lost him a few months ago, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
I got to believe those guys are certainly on the Mount Rushmore for West Virginia.
No question about it. And when you think about both of them, what they both created for a professional league. Who would be mad if they made the logo of some form of Randy Moss for football? No one would argue with that, and I know Jerry West being the logo for the NBA. Those two guys have truly grown and put professional sports, football and basketball, respective to their talent, has put it over the top.
What do you see in this current Minnesota Vikings squad and what they have done over these 14 games that makes you believe that this is a team that could win it all? What stands out to you?
I'm going to go to the defense and not taking anything from the offense, because I think the offense is really good. I think that they can move the ball, they can score, they can run it, they can throw it. I think I go back to what it was, I don't know, 87, the 87 team, the Viking team that we went to the NFC Championship game, and I think the aggressiveness of the defense, the talent at literally at every position, I think that is the most critical piece of what makes the Vikings who they are in this game, in this particular season. I think is really the defense.
And let me expound on that. It's almost like the defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, he has a joystick, and he's moving these guys all around, causing this Minnesota mayhem, as I call it. How much fun would you have if you're playing for Brian Flores in a defense that just causes confusion?
I think everybody, I think all 11 guys that were playing on the defense when I was playing, I think we would all love that style. It's unique to whatever it is that he wants to do.
Yeah. Well, Carl, I know you're following the Purple as they make this trek down the final few games of the regular season and hopefully, finally to a Super Bowl. We appreciate you spending some time with us.
No problem. I appreciate it.
All right. He is Carl Lee, the former Viking great defensive back, multiple-time Pro Bowler, right here on 10,000 Takes. Stay with us. We're back with more after this time out.
You can visit llcoolj.info to understand what the government grants really hit for. You can visit llcoolj.org.com to make sense. Whatever you sell, the government's buying it. You don't need an LLC or an S corporation. We the people. We already pledged allegiance to this nation. It's up to us if the bell toll of freedom rings. That's word from Olivia's child, Sammy's favorite sibling, and I'm out.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
In Lakeville, Minnesota, dozens of meeting venues are ready to host your next corporate event, banquet, and holiday party. Lakeville has unique conference facilities, a variety of hotels, an abundance of team building options, and dining that are sure to impress. For suggestions that suit your needs, please call the Lakeville Convention and Visitors Bureau at 952-469-2020 or go to visitlakeville.org. Lakeville, we mean business.
All right, we've talked plenty of football. Minnesota Vikings, well-deserved, getting talked about. How about your Minnesota Twins with a potential new owner coming on board? The Pohlads announcing a couple months ago that they are looking for a potential buyer here in the offseason. And the first names that have come up are Justin and Matt Ishbia. They own the Phoenix Suns, the Phoenix Mercury of the WNBA. The good news in this scenario, if in fact they turn out to be somebody that's truly interested and comes up with what's necessary, and they have money, they're worth, between the two of them, they're worth like $25 billion. Is that enough?
It should be.
Okay. So $1.5 billion is what the team supposedly is worth right now. So the Pohlads did okay in this. They paid $44 million to get the team.
Yeah.
They did all right. But the good news with these two is owning the Suns, man, they have spent some money. They got the trade in for Kevin Durant.
Yep.
They're paying some big bucks to these guys. And so maybe that would be something the Twins fans would like to see, because the Pohlads have been kind of pulling back here the last couple of years.
I don't think there's any doubt Twins territory wants an ownership group or person to come in and not be afraid to write checks to lure in top-notch talent. And that may be more critical now than ever when you look at what's been happening.
No doubt.
With the powerhouse teams that have the huge payrolls, like the New York Mets, the Yankees, the LA Dodgers, your Bostons of the world. I mean, if you want to compete in Major League Baseball, that doesn't guarantee you're going to win when you write a check. The LA Angels are proof of that. And the Mets in the past have been proof of that. But you better be able to have the resources or the will to do it.
Right.
And the other thing is you need a strong minor league system. You need great scouting. Obviously, managers got to be top-notch, general manager, etc. But it would be a good thing if Twins fans knew that, hey, if Juan Soto's on the market, we might actually have a chance to lure him to Minnesota. It'd still probably be highly unlikely, but you never know. Now, the other thing is, from the Ishbia's point of view, Justin and Matt, I think the Twins are a sleeping giant. You've got a great ballpark. You don't have to worry about that. You come into a top 10 Major League venue, in my opinion. Yeah, April's a little chilly.
Sell it, baby. Sell it. We want them.
Cooler than Phoenix.
Sell it. We want them.
Yeah, so you got a ballpark that's fantastic. You have a fan base that right now is, I think they're tilting toward apathetic. I think they've checked out a bit on the Twins, but they'll come running back if they believe you're committed to excellence.
Do you think that the Twins are number 4 in this market right now in popularity?
Ooh, well, they could be. I know Patrick Royce wrote that in a column. For me, they're always going to be near the top because of the ballpark. I just like going out there, being outside in the summer and those, warm spring days when they happen. But yeah, right now, let's face it, Minnesota Vikings are 1. The T-Wolves and Wild are probably battling for 2. Then you got the Minnesota Twins.
Yep.
Of the big 4 male sports teams in this market, the Twins have dropped to that level. But they could easily skyrocket to number 1 or 2.
I'd say 2. Okay, before we take a break, I've been looking to possibly spend some Christmas money on Vikings-Packers tickets. Holy Toledo. So as of the recording of this show, $365 for the cheapest ticket to sit up in the nosebleeds, and that doesn't include the fees that you're going to have to pay Vivid or StubHub or one of those places. Holy Toledo. Holy moly, Rocky.
It's you better be in the high-income tax bracket if you want to be able to afford a Minnesota Vikings Green Bay Packers ticket. It's really the way it is at Viking home games. I mean, even against teams that aren't as sexy as Green Bay, it's still a pricey ticket in most cases. And that's what happens when you're winning and the fan base is totally energized, and I think it skews to a younger crowd now. It's trendy to be inside the House of Noise.
But $300, $400 to
Well,
get
let's
in the
not
door?
forget, some of that's the folks in Wisconsin. They want to be inside.
course.
They want to go to the game. And there are probably Viking fans, even with this great team that Minnesota has, that will cough up their tickets for that price tag.
Yeah.
They can pay for the rest of the
Well,
tickets.
that's what they're doing.
Yep.
That's what they do in Green Bay year-round, that's for sure. All right, more to come. Our final segment, Takes of the Day. That's coming up next. You won't want to miss it.
Finding the ideal place to stay is important for business travelers. Lakeville, Minnesota is conveniently located off I-35, just south of the Twin Cities, with a variety of hotel choices. Lakeville offers convenient amenities such as shopping, walking trails, golf, and more. Our unique meeting spaces, historic downtown, live music, and over 60 dining options are sure to impress. Book your next stay in Lakeville and experience convenience, comfort, and quality. Find your perfect hotel at visitlakeville.org.
Wally and Eric from 10,000 Takes here in the land of lakes. And if you want sports of all sorts, check us out. We cover all the bases, all the teams in the great state of Minnesota.
Vikings, Twins, Wild, Gophers, Timberwolves, Loons, you name it, we do it. Late night Saturday night on Fox 9 Plus and on the Fox local app.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10K Takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. Big shout out to the viewers in the Twin Ports and the Twin Cities up and down that I-35 corridor. They're going to find out what your mood is. Angry American, Grumpy Guardian, Happy Camper. What is it this week?
Well, come mid-February, not only will I be watching the Minnesota Vikings play in their first Super Bowl in almost 50 years, I will be looking in on what the NBA is now doing with their All-Star game. And oh boy, another reach in trying to get the players to actually play. And I mean play basketball. So they're going to a tournament. They're going to have 4 teams, 3 teams of All-Stars, 8 players on each team, and then they're going to have the winner of their sophomore versus freshman game, and that'll be your 4 teams, and they'll play 2 games in the first round, and then they'll play a championship, up to 40 points. What in the world? What in the name of Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jerry West, Larry Bird, I mean, even Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, the last 5 or 6 years, the NBA All-Star Game has been a travesty, much like the NHL All-Star Game is a joke. Now they play 3-on-3 hockey, and they play a little tournament. And, of course, football plays touch football now, or flag football. Why can't you just go out and play basketball? You play all season long. What's one more game? Why do you not try in the NBA All-Star Game? I don't understand it. From top to bottom, players just treat it as a big joke. They're trying again, so Adam Silver, I think it's another reach. I think that you might as well just flush this down the tubes like the rest of the All-Star Games.
All right, let's check out the mood meter. Yeah, he's a cranky Yankee, as usual. All right, well, my take of the day, I'm going to talk about the NFC North. It's been a punching bag for many years in the NFL. I mean, a weak sister division. Heck, only 2 teams out of the 4 have even won Super Bowls in the history of the North. That would be Green Bay and Chicago. Sorry about the bad news, Detroit and Minnesota, but you got to step up. But this year, the North rules. For the first time in the history of the Shield, the NFL, there's 3 teams with 10 or more wins. Green Bay's got 10, Minnesota 12, and the Lions have a dozen. The NFC North has turned into a powerhouse division. Now, does that mean one of these teams will win the Super Bowl? No, it doesn't. They still got to go get it done in the postseason. But for now, the NFC North is kicking some booty in the National Football League.
No doubt.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate all the viewers. He's Wally. I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your sports ticket.